right, I'm currently on the phone with Tyler Herwig. He's another musician that reached out about the current interview session. So I'm going to go ahead and give him the chance to introduce himself.
Hey guys, hey Alex, thanks for having me on. My name's Tyler Herwig, and I sing songs. I'm excited to be here.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you for joining me. Let's kind of dive into some detail. Tell me about your history with music. When did you first encounter it? When did you realize it was going to, have a larger connection with you personally?
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved music. I grew up singing in church and in like children's choirs and stuff. And it wasn't until I was 13-ish that music really took on kind of a more personal meaning for me. That was when my brother's best friend passed away really tragically when we were kids. And I ended up writing my very first song as a way to deal with the grief that we were going through. That song is called Miss You. And when I was 16 years old is when I learned that girls like musicians. And I wanted to ask this girl out. So I taught myself how to play guitar. Learned a bunch of her favorite songs, and I put on this little concert for her in the parking lot of a Taco John's, and sang to her, asked her out at the very end, and she said no. And she eventually left, and I was pretty bummed out. So I opened up the trunk of my car and started throwing myself this little pity party, singing sad songs and eating tacos in the trunk. And while I was doing that, this woman got off of work, and as she was pulling through the drive-through of Taco John's, she heard me singing. And she came and asked if I would sing in her wedding as she walked down the aisle. And that was the moment that, for me, really defined what I wanted to do with my life, to make and create music. 'Cause I realized in that moment that I could make someone's day a little bit more special. I could make a moment a little bit more memorable by doing something that I had learned to love to do. And I've chased that feeling now every single day for 15 years.
Once you kind of made that connection to begin music, tell me about the process to kind of get where you are and to continue working on music.
Yeah, it's been a long journey, a really long journey over the last, decade and a half. It went from performing a couple shows on the weekends to now what is a full-time career where I play about 280 live shows a year, as well as release tons of music and try and connect with fans. And I've been given a lot of great opportunities to like tour around the world, which has been really exciting. But it all kind of took it's been a slow start for me. For the longest time, I thought that, I was going to sing songs in a bar and a record producer was going to magically show up and be there and offer me $1 million to come and sing songs. And after 10 years, that I figured out that wasn't likely to happen. Not that it was impossible, but it was pretty unlikely. And I needed to figure out a different way to grow not only my musicianship, but my connection with the people that were willing to support me. Mm-hmm. And that was when I started making some additional efforts to really become not just a musician, but honestly also a content creator. I started doing lots of live streams on TikTok and other social media platforms. And probably the most beneficial thing that I did is that I offered my fans a chance to meet with me one-on-one. And so basically every day for the last few years, I've hosted one-on-one meet and greet sessions for 15 minutes with my fans from around the world. So not only do they get to like see that I'm a real person, but they get to hear more of my stories behind the songs directly from me. And it also gives them an opportunity to ask questions about why I wrote them or what's coming up next. And it's been just a really interesting and unique and satisfying experience to connect with these people in ways that I don't think many musicians do.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what platform do you use to connect with people like that?
So I use Calendly to schedule all of the events, and then I just host them on Zoom. Particularly once the pandemic happened, everyone figured out how to use Zoom all of a sudden, and it became really easy to just schedule a call with someone for a couple minutes and give them the opportunity to get to know me as a person and as an artist.
Yeah, that's really cool. Tell me about how you kind of came up with that idea. I mean, obviously, like content creation has become a really big part of selling yourself in the industry and making a brand name for yourself. What kind of led you to that being the type of content that you wanted to do?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. So I had a friend of mine that pitched the idea to me. He is also a musician. His name is Zach. He lives out in LA, and he had done it a couple times as kind of like a VIP experience kind of thing where he would host like a virtual concert for his fans around the world. And he would, sell it to them for $500 and he would He has all this really fancy live streaming equipment, so it's really feels like you're front row at one of his shows. And I was like, well, I don't have the money to do that, but I like where your idea is at, because a big part of my music is telling stories. It's not just about the music, and I think that's different for every artist, but for me, it's all about the storytelling. And I wanted to figure out what could make me different from every other person with the dream of being a musician. What makes me unique? And it's the fact that I tell stories from my own life with my music, and that I have this desire to, save and change lives one song at a time. And I figured the best way to do that would be to just talk to my fans, see what they wanted to know about me. How can I improve? What kind of things would they want to hear from me next, or what stories did they want me to tell? And it kind of started off with just, I talked to a couple of like my long-term supporters. They loved the fact that I started doing this. And then I was like, I'm just going to offer this to everybody. Like, let's just see who wants to talk. And it's been shocking to see how many hundreds, if not thousands of people have wanted to schedule calls with me over the last few years.
That's great. So do you mostly do them like one-on-one, or do you have like kind of group sessions where a bunch of people can get in on?
Yeah, I do different kinds of sessions, and that's all evolved over the last few years. It started off as one-on-one calls, and I still host. The majority of my calls are one-on-one calls. I also host some group sessions that are a little bit longer, and then I also host like group co-writing sessions. I have what's called my Inner Circle, which is kind of like a Patreon membership. So basically, for $5 a month, you can get access to my Inner Circle. And one of the benefits of joining that, besides exclusive access to all of my music before it's released, and like an exclusive merch store, is you can hop on these group co-writing calls where I'll sit down with some of my top tier fans and write a song together with them.
Awesome. Tell me about some of the stuff that's come out of that. Do you find it to be complicated to work with some of your fans directly like that to write your material, or has it mostly been pretty fluent?
It's definitely presented some unique challenges, particularly in the beginning. Like, there's no instruction manual on how to do some of this. And so I just kind of walked into it with this attitude of, I don't know what's going to happen. And so whatever happens is good enough. But it's definitely evolved to where now I kind of have a mental formula for like how to keep everyone on track, how to give everyone an opportunity to share, and then how to unite all of those ideas into one song. And, one of the things that I have to communicate with people often is that, like, there are a lot of good ideas out there. I only have enough time right now to start writing one thing. And so, like, let's pick an idea, kind of vote on it as a group. What do we want to write about today? And then we'll try and get as far into that song as we can, given the allotted time. And then stay in the Inner Circle. We'll host another one next month and come back and we'll vote again. And if that's your idea is the one we want to pick up, then let's pick that one up and start working on it.
I like that. So you kind of like democratized it as well, where everybody kind of gets to vote on what you're going to work on.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of my artist identity is like the Mr. Rogers of music in a way. Like I'm like I write about my family and my kids and my wife, and also some of my other, experiences at low points in my life, but a lot of it has to do with my family. And so I always tell people, when you join my fan base, you're joining my family. And so learning how to democratize decisions has become really important, because I am kind of the leader of that family.
That's cool. So tell me about what you kind of have going on musically on your like solo stuff, like outside of what you're developing, like with your Inner Circle group. What are you excited to focus on for your own artistry?
Yeah, this year in particular has a lot of big highlights for me. Some of the big ones, I've got 7 songs that I'll be releasing throughout this year, currently planned, as well as a 3-song pop country EP. So those are some big milestones for me that I'm really looking forward to sharing with the world and getting some feedback to see what people think.
Okay, and you're planning on having that out sometime this year, or is that more of like a next year type thing?
That'll be coming out this year. I can't give away dates yet because I haven't locked them down, but I know the first song that I'll be releasing this year will come out on February 21st. I'm really excited about that one. It's kind of like if you took Harry Styles and Ed Sheeran and Post Malone and smushed them all together into one weird amorphous blob of a musician.
Sure.
I became that amorphous blob, and I think it's one of my best songs yet.
All right, very cool. That's right around the corner too.
Coming up soon.
Perfect. So that kind of taps into what you have going on, musically, and then with like, kind of your fan base. What else do you have going on that's kind of going to carry you into the future and kind of keep you engaged in music?
Yeah. Well, this year in particular, I've got some other big things. I have a couple meetings with some larger record labels to discuss potential development deals, which I think are really exciting and could present some unique opportunities. I also will be headlining my first international tour in the UK in August of this year. So that's probably the thing I'm the most excited about is I get to take my family and just go out for 2.5 weeks to tour around the United Kingdom singing songs for the world. And it was kind of a shock how it all came up, and to have that happen is, I think, any artist's dream.
Yeah, I've talked to quite a few people that have a similar sentiment for that, where they would really like to get over and be able to do like a European tour. So you're right about that. A lot of people are, dreaming for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So what would you say is some of the events that have happened to you while working with your inner circle that have stood out to you to kind of help you stay motivated and continue to make that sort of content?
Yeah, I guess one of the biggest events that's happened to me while working with my inner circle has been that I've learned just how much my music has resonated with people. I think as artists, that's kind of the end goal is we want our music to click with the people that listen to it. But we often don't get that kind of feedback. Like someone might say, hey, I listened to your song, it was great. But you very rarely get the opportunity to sit down with someone and have them tell you like, hey, your song actually changed my life. Like it saved me from this situation or from making that choice. And I've been given a great opportunity to have my fans meet with me one-on-one and tell me that some of my music has really gotten them out of a dark place. One of the things that I write about quite often is my recovery from drug addiction. I just hit 5 years clean and sober last week. And I have a couple of my fans that have actually gotten my lyrics tattooed on their like arms or on their legs. And to see like, hey, this song truly meant so much to me. Keep making music because you're changing lives. That's the coolest thing that could ever happen.
Yeah, I would agree. That's definitely a profound moment. All right. Well, where can people keep up with you and join your inner circle and work with you directly?
Yeah, so there's a couple different spots if you guys want to connect with me that you should definitely reach out. First and foremost, go give me a like or a follow on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. You can find me at Tyler Herwig Music. And then also check out tylerherwig.streetteam.fm to join my inner circle, as well as get a bunch of free behind the scenes content.
Perfect. And so once again, I always like to give the person that I'm interviewing the opportunity to put out their last word. So what's a message that you have that you want to share with people?
Yeah, the message I have is just don't be afraid to fail forward. We're all going to make mistakes, but as long as we learn from them, get back up and keep moving, we'll get to where we need to be.